We're counting down the 10 biggest Arctic military carriers that can swim, climb, and survive where no road or rescue exists. From amphibious haulers battling -50 degrees Celsius winds to mobile habitats and missile platforms designed for ice, these machines are the first to arrive if conflict hits the polar frontier. Which carrier claims the ultimate Arctic edge? Let's find out, starting with number 10. Number 10 on the list is the GAZ-3351, also known as the DT-10PM, a Russian Arctic carrier built to cross ground that barely qualifies as land. This machine moves on two articulated modules, a front cab for the crew and a rear car that hauls cargo, radar, or survival shelters. Each module rides on wide tracks, spreading the vehicle's weight to less than 0.17 kilograms per square centimeter. That's light enough to roll over swamp ice and snow crusts that would swallow a normal armored vehicle. When it reaches a water lead or flooded tundra, the GAZ-3351 floats and swims under its own power, using its tracks as paddles. Russian Northern Command units have used this carrier to resupply outposts across Novaya Zemlya and the New Siberian Islands, places where a broken ice bridge or sudden thaw can cut off all ground access. With a payload around 10 tons and a proven record in Arctic logistics, it's not the biggest hauler, but it's the baseline for true amphibious survival in the polar north. The Bandwagen BVS-10. Viking stands out as NATO's answer to Arctic troop mobility, a machine trusted by the UK Royal Marines, Dutch, French, and now American and Canadian Arctic units. Its two-body articulated design glides over muskeg, deep snow, and even Arctic beaches, carrying a full squad of 12 to 14 soldiers and their gear in a heated, sealed cabin. There's no need for lengthy preparations at the water's edge. The BVS-10 simply drives off the bank, swims meltwater channels at up to 5 kilometers per hour, and climbs straight back onto snowbanks or ice. Field exercises from Norway to Alaska have shown it can keep pace with modern infantry tactics, whether ferrying troops to isolated radar outposts or shuttling supplies across thawed tundra. Inside, advanced HVAC keeps the cabin habitable at -40, and the modular interior adapts for medevac or command post duties. Its real strength is interoperability. NATO units can cross-load, swap crews, and operate side by side, making the BVS-10 the backbone of multinational Arctic patrols. While its payload is limited compared to the Russian heavyweights, no other Western carrier offers this mix of agility, amphibious reach, and crew survival in the deep cold. The MT-LBV Arctic refit doesn't look flashy, but it's the backbone of survival for Russia's most isolated northern outposts. Take a standard MT-LB armored carrier, widen the tracks to a full meter each, and fit the hull with upgraded insulation kits and a heavy-duty diesel heater rated for -45 degrees Celsius. The result is a logistics tug that can drag 6-ton sleds of fuel, food, or mobile radar units across the Yamal and Nenets coast, even when storms erase all trace of a road. These extra-wide tracks spread its weight over fragile snow and tundra, keeping the convoy moving where trucks would sink or freeze in place. For the crews, the difference is life or death. Without the insulated cabin and reliable heat, a blizzard can turn a simple supply run into a rescue mission. But there's a trade-off. Environmental studies and indigenous reports document how oil leaks, track ruts, and engine noise from these resupply convoys disrupt caribou herds and scar the landscape, sparking tension with the Nenets and Samoyed who rely on the land. The MT-LBV isn't a frontline fighter, but when it comes to keeping Arctic bases alive, nothing else fills the gap between lightweight troop carriers and the giant haulers ahead. Vitiaz DT-30PM is where Arctic logistics stop being small-scale and start moving entire bases. This 30-ton twin-hull crawler is built to shoulder the kind of payloads that keep new outposts alive: prefabricated shelters, radar pods, missile support containers, and fuel tanks. Its articulated frame lets it flex over pressure ridges and climb out of deep snow, while a sealed undercarriage and massive tracks give it enough flotation to cross 1-meter-wide leads without sinking. When the ice fractures, the DT-30PM swims itself across, keeping the convoy moving where no bridge exists. Russian Arctic doctrine treats the Vityaz as a lifeline. In 2014, during the UMCA exercise, a convoy was nearly lost when an ice lead split beneath the lead vehicle. The crew managed a self-rescue using the articulated traction and emergency module evacuation, an event that's now a case study in Arctic survival. The DT-30PM's modular design means it can swap roles quickly. One day, it's a mobile command post with bunks and comms. The next, it's hauling fuel or missile support gear. With a range of 750 kilometers and the ability to float its full payload, the Vityaz is the backbone of Russian Arctic expansion. It's not the heaviest carrier in existence, but nothing else in its class can turn a patch of frozen wilderness into a functioning base overnight. The PTS-4 amphibious transporter stands out as the Arctic's answer to a problem no road vehicle can solve: how to move heavy cargo from ship to unstable shore when the ice is too thin for trucks and boats can't land. The entire vehicle is a tracked steel barge with a hull that floats even under a 20-ton load. Its bow ramp drops straight onto the ice or beach, letting pallets, vehicles, or even other trucks roll off without cranes or docks. In Arctic river deltas like the Ob Gulf, PTS-4s are the only way to get supplies from a waiting ship across shifting ice and slush to the first patch of solid ground. The transporter swims at up to 10 kilometers per hour, using its tracks as paddles, and can ferry several vehicles at once. During spring thaw, when the shoreline is a mix of broken ice and black water, these machines bridge the last mile for resupply convoys, making sure fuel, food, and equipment reach isolated outposts before the ice closes in again. Maintenance crews know the risks. Salt water and -40 degrees Celsius air can wreck hydraulic seals and electronics in a single run, and breakdowns often mean abandoning the vehicle until summer. Still, nothing else matches the PTS-4's ability to turn a hostile coastline into a working supply line, even if its reach ends where the ice turns solid and the heavy haulers take over. Sherp looks almost like a cartoon at first glance, tiny compared to the steel giants of Arctic logistics, but its balloon tires and squat body have changed what's possible at the frozen edge. Each tire holds about 1,600 liters of air, acting as both snowshoe and pontoon. With tire pressure down to 0.2 bar and ground pressure as low as 0.13 kilograms per square centimeter, Sherp can roll across swamp, slush, or thin ice that would swallow a tracked vehicle. When the ice gives way, it simply floats, paddling itself forward at 6 kilometers per hour using its own wheels. There's no switch to flip, no hull to seal, land, water, and back again with no hesitation. On land, Sherp reaches 45 kilometers per hour, carrying up to a ton of cargo or 9 people in a heated, sealed cabin. Its range isn't about distance, it's about access. In the Ob and Yenisei river deltas, where spring floods and ice leads trap even helicopters, Sherp has become the go-to for medevac and border patrol. Emergency services across Russia, Ukraine, and Canada rely on it to reach survivors stranded by broken ice or sudden thaw. There are no official rescue statistics, but operators call it the only machine that gets through when everything else fails. Military units use Sherp for Arctic patrol, recon, and light resupply. It's not armored, and it won't haul a missile battery, but its modular kits allow for stretchers, comms gear, and survival packs to be loaded in minutes. Export versions have been customized for everything from oil exploration to wildfire response. The trade-off is payload, just 1 ton, but no other Arctic carrier can climb a meter-high obstacle, swim a melt channel, and keep moving when the road is gone. Sherp earns its place on this list by reaching the unreachable, turning impassable terrain into a rescue route. Kharkov-Chanka isn't just a machine, it's a rolling home for survival at the ends of the Earth. Designed for the Soviet Antarctic and Arctic traverses of the late 1950s and early 1960s, this tracked behemoth brought an entire living space wherever the expedition went. Inside, 8 bunks line the walls in 2 tiers, enough for a full polar crew. There's a galley for hot meals, a radio room for constant contact, and even a repair workshop with engine access from inside, so no one has to risk frostbite for a midnight fix. The main module covers about 30 square meters, roughly the size of a modest apartment, but every inch is packed with function. 8 layers of wool insulation and heated windows keep the interior warm, often holding steady at 30 degrees Celsius while the world outside drops to -50. Life on board means weeks without outside support. Crews sleep, eat, and work in shifts, running the diesel heater and monitoring the route from the safety of the cabin. The Kharkov-Chanka carries up to 1,400 liters of fuel, giving it a range of around 1,500 kilometers even when towing heavy sleds loaded with supplies. But the ice is always unpredictable. In December 1962, a Kharkov-Chanka broke through a hidden crevasse during a trans-Antarctic crossing. The front module hung over the void, but the crew escaped and managed a complex recovery. No one was lost, and the vehicle returned to service after repairs, a testament to both design and determination. Kharkov-Chanka stands apart for its ability to keep people alive and working in total isolation, turning blank polar wilderness into a moving outpost. It lacks the weapons or radar of later Arctic giants, but for endurance and human survival, it redefined what a carrier could be. Pantsir SA brings something new to the Arctic, an air defense system that doesn't just survive the cold, but fights in it. Mounted on an articulated tracked chassis adapted from the DT series, this platform turns deep ice and snow into a forward operating zone. Its insulated, heated module keeps both electronics and crew functional at temperatures down to -50 degrees Celsius. In the Arctic, cold isn't just uncomfortable. It's a direct threat to radar, targeting computers, and missile reliability. Pantsir SA's thermal management systems keep the sensors warm and ready, even when blowing salt ice would freeze a standard air defense truck solid. 12 missile tubes line the module, backed by twin 30mm autocannons. The radar and fire control arrays are fully integrated, allowing the vehicle to track and engage low-flying aircraft, drones, or cruise missiles that threaten Arctic bases or convoys. The entire system is built to move with the convoy, not just defend a static position. As heavy haulers and mobile bases advance across the tundra, the Pantsir SA provides a rolling shield, its radar scanning for inbound threats, its missiles ready to launch from anywhere, even while crossing pressure ridges or swimming leads. Convoy doctrine in the high north relies on layered defense. The Pantsir SA acts as a mobile air bubble, escorting fuel trains, command modules, and logistics carriers through territory where air cover from traditional bases is impossible. Heated electronics and redundant power supplies are essential. If a power bus or battery fails at -40, the whole system can go dark in minutes. That's why every Pantsir SA is equipped for rapid cold start, with backup generators and insulated wiring throughout. This isn't just about keeping machines running, it's about enabling Arctic forces to operate with real combat power far beyond the reach of normal supply lines. When the convoy moves, the air shield moves with it. The result is a force that can not only survive in the deep cold, but defend itself against aerial threats, anywhere on the ice. Tor M2DT is the Arctic's answer to short-range missile defense, designed from the ground up to survive and fight where no other SAM system can. This machine doesn't just ride on tracks, it's built on an articulated, twin-module carrier engineered for deep cold, with every system tested to function at -58 degrees Celsius. The lead car houses the crew and power generation. The rear module is a sealed, heated bunker for radar and launchers. 16 ready-to-fire missiles sit beneath armored hatches, and the radar mast rises from the insulated shell, sweeping for threats across a landscape of snow, ice, and blinding whiteout. Unlike standard air defense units, Tor M2DT travels with Arctic brigades, crawling over pressure ridges, fording meltwater, and swimming leads in the ice. Its electronics are cold-proofed. Every circuit, servo, and sensor is wrapped in thermal insulation, with redundant heaters to prevent the kind of catastrophic battery failures that have stranded lesser vehicles. When an alert comes, Tor M2DT can lock onto a target and launch in under 60 seconds, even after hours of cold soak. The system's radar can track multiple fast-moving threats, from drones to cruise missiles, while the crew stays sealed inside, shielded from the lethal wind and salt spray that would shut down a regular air defense truck in minutes. But the engineering comes at a cost. Russian Ministry of Defense budget reports reveal that Arcticizing the Tor system has triggered major cost overruns. Each unit carries a price tag far above the standard model, and procurement has been slowed by inter-service rivalry over who owns these rare assets. Despite the controversy, the Tor M2DT delivers something no other mobile SAM can. A true moving air bubble for Arctic operations, able to keep pace with convoys and bases on the move, and defend them in places where even satellites go dark. It's the peak of Arctic defensive capability, though its impact is measured in protection, not in the raw logistical reach of the giants that come next. At the very top of Arctic military engineering stands the TC-497 Overland Train Mark II, a machine so ambitious it tried to turn the frozen wilderness itself into a supply highway. Designed by Letourneau for the US Army's Cold War missions, the Overland Train was built to answer one question: how do you haul hundreds of tons of radar, fuel, and prefab outposts across trackless ice where aircraft can't land and no road will ever exist? The answer stretched to 572 feet, nearly 2 football fields, across 12 articulated cars, each rolling on giant low-pressure tires, every wheel powered by its own electric hub motor. 4 gas turbines, each pushing out 1,170 horsepower, generated electricity for the entire train, feeding it through a web of cables and drive systems that let all 54 wheels pull together, even over soft tundra and broken ice. The TC-497 was more than just cargo. The lead cab carried a 6-person crew with bunks, a galley, and radar navigation, turning the control car into a rolling command post. The modular design meant more power or cargo cars could be added as needed, stretching range and payload to fit the mission. In Army trials at Yuma Proving Ground, the Overland Train carried 150 tons at a time, crawling over mud, silt, and rock at speeds up to 20 miles per hour. Its steering system synced every trailer, so each car traced the same path, reducing the risk of jackknifing or getting stuck in deep snow or muskeg. The engineering team's field notes, preserved in Letourneau's archives, describe the psychological strain of testing in isolation. Nights filled with creaking steel, static charge darkness, and the ever-present fear of breakdown far from help. The Overland Train was built for the DU line, the distant early warning radar chain strung across the Arctic in the 1950s and 60s. Its mission: deliver supplies and radar parts to outposts so remote, even helicopters struggled to reach them in winter storms. The TC-497 could, in theory, travel up to 4,800 kilometers with extra fuel modules, creating a moving lifeline across the polar desert. But the world changed fast. Heavy lift helicopters matured, and the Army cancelled the program before the train ever reached the Arctic. Only the control cab survives today, on display in Arizona, a relic of a moment when engineers tried to conquer the Arctic not by flying over it, but by driving straight through its heart. No other military carrier has matched its haul or its vision. For sheer scale, range, and the audacity to turn wilderness into a supply route, the TC-497 Overland Train remains the ultimate Arctic logistics machine. From the amphibious GAZ-3351 at number 10 to the colossal TC-497 Overland Train at the top, this countdown has revealed the sheer scale and ingenuity behind Arctic military carriers that swim and climb. The most shocking entries, like the Sherp's balloon tire agility or the Kharkovchanka's mobile habitat, prove that extreme environments demand radical solutions. Across all 10, the common thread is survival. Every machine must bridge land and water, shield crews from -50 degrees Celsius, and deliver supplies or firepower where no other vehicle can go. The list shows that size is not just about payload. It's about planting a sovereign presence anywhere, even where roads and ports don't exist. Ranking was based on mobility, endurance, and the ability to operate as both transport and lifeline. In the end, control of the Arctic will belong to those who can move, live, and defend in the world's harshest frontier. These carriers aren't just vehicles, they're the front line in a new era of polar strategy.